Hola.
Oh wow, okay, I really love seeing multiple screens here. This is so cool.
Yes, it is. How you doing?
Fabulous. Great, how are you?
All is well. I tried to set it up on Turn to Healing Instagram, but it just for some reason.
Oh,
So
weird. Yeah, absolutely.
how you feeling?
Great. I am on my faces, so all good and ready. Yay. Yay, yay,
Indeed.
yay.
Yes, ma'am. I
Stunning.
wanted to send your
Oh, my
feather
little guy.
this
Yeah,
morning.
he's chilling on my altar today. He's a little time over there. Yes.
Okay, I feel you. Hey, that's where I'm too. Indeed.
So crazy.
So yeah, so are you set and ready to go? Were you able to get it?
All shared up. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And I see that mine is on there as well. It's live on Facebook, which is
Amazing.
great. So
Yeah.
welcome. This is episode 3, Return to Matriarch podcast. And we were speaking about just piggybacking. We were speaking about the mind, and so I titled the show today "Your Head."
Your head
Really,
at.
head at. But so the mindset, and we'll also be able to talk about um, and just the different tools that you offer to people so that they can get on this self-love and healing journey. So without
Absolutely.
further, you all know Saya Lotus is in the house, baby, and she about to school us, and help us raise our vibrations so that we can attract the abundance that we deserve in this lifetime, not next lifetime, this lifetime, right here, right now. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Always so like these are my favorite conversations because I spent so long in the like mindset manifestation. I took courses, I took all these different I studied different religions, I studied quantum physics. I was really in deep with it. And so when I realized that the there's 3 levels of awakening, and the first level is awakening to the level of the mind. It's the level of duality where we see good, bad, right, wrong, and we start to become a lot more conscious in our lives. And I talk about this with people all the time about I know you've had this experience as well, like before your first awakening. I remember like literally not having, like, there were no thoughts up here. Like where were the thoughts? It was like life was just happening around me, and there wasn't any like there was it was just no thoughts. It was just like, okay, life is happening.
Ignorance is bliss. We were definitely under a spell.
Oh, for
So
sure.
it was a spell, like, and we had to snap up out of that thing.
Exactly. And so then after that first awakening, after that first, like, when you're like, oh, good, bad, right, wrong, up, down, we start to really see the tension in duality. And this tension is a beautiful thing to wake up to, and also is like kind of hard because you went from, they say ignorance is bliss. You went from like this total like unawareness to like this whole opening of like, whoa, there is so much more than meets the eye. and not just like these eyes, but like this eye too, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And you're like, whoa. So when I really dove in, I was all gung ho. I started with quantum physics, and it was really funny because the whole reason that I even started to study quantum physics was because I wanted to have something to talk to my dad about. My adoptive dad, he's a chemical engineer, very much like logic, smarts, like super deep into like education, like school and things. And whoo, yeah, we did not have a lot to talk about in common because I've always been very like woo woo spiritual, and he's very like practical, very like that's hocus pocus, like, you know, kind of stuff. And so I was like, how can I like talk to him? And so I started studying quantum physics, and all of a sudden I'm like reading this, and that is what really like woke me up, was like outside of what happened right before I found quantum physics, like that's what really like guided me forward. And it kind of like fell into your lap, and they say, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so when I was ready, that's when all of these different like teachings and access started to come online. But a lot of it was like The Secret was really big back then too. Did you read The Secret? Or did
No.
you like you hear about it? It's The Secret is like this it's a manifestation book, but it was really popular back in 2016, because this was literally a decade ago that I started doing all this. So back in 2016, this is when The Secret started to come out, and it was like they made a movie out of it too, with like a bunch of different actors and actresses who are all saying like, we use The Secret, we use The Secret, that's how we got our money. And I'm like, okay, Karen, um, you know?
Right.
And so, but what they talk about in that is they talk about mindset and manifestation. And you can really tell that a lot of them, a lot of them were very
Mm.
disconnected to their like bodily and like physical reality. Like they had to do, I can't even imagine like the things that they've had to do in
Mm.
order to get their fame.
Right.
And not saying that like that's the only way. I think that there's many different ways to get
Mm.
it, but I can't imagine what they had to go through. So being able to look at them and be like, you all are sitting here talking about The Secret, like there's something fishy going on here, but I didn't really know what that was. And I was gung ho about The Secret. I told everybody, I was like, mindset, 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 it's your mindset. And yeah, when I realized that that's actually not true, that's when everything changed for me.
Indeed. Indeed. So you say that there are three levels, and so you mentioned the first. What are the next two levels?
Yeah, so the first level, it's called the exoteric, and the exoteric is like that, like I said, that level of duality.
Mm.
Then the second level is the mesoteric. That is the that I've gone into. So second level is so first level is many gods, duality, good, bad, right, wrong, all that stuff down here. The next level is one God and the talk of oneness. And then the third level is the esoteric, and that is the level of no gods, like nothingness, like complete and utter void territory.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
And
That's
so I don't I would put like Jesus, the Buddha, um Dalai Lama, like I would put them in that category. Like these are like true ascended masters that are
indeed.
in that upper esoteric level. Now, I'm not saying that we can't fluctuate between all of them, because I
Yes.
know I definitely get down in the duality sometimes, you know.
Right. Yes,
I'm like,
ma'am.
oh shit, like I've descended. But
Yes.
the beautiful thing is I work with the duality realm a lot, because you cannot ascend unless you descend first.
Yeah.
There is no going up unless you go further in. So there's a scripture in Mary Magdalene talking about further up is further in. So as you ascend, you actually start to go deeper into the body. And
Yes.
the body, is this beautiful physical vessel that we experience our reality through. But a lot of us, especially us as women, so many of us have experienced violation, boundaries, lack of boundaries, either our lack of boundaries or boundaries broken to us, experienced childhood trauma, so many different layers in which we continue to be disconnected from our physical vessel. So as we get older, and as these tendencies of people pleasing and not being able to feel like you can express yourself come into play, you start to actually get further and further away from that esoteric and mesoteric systems. So you kind of stay down here in the duality of like, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. When you get to the higher level teachings, there's no such thing as good, bad, right, wrong. Everything goes. They say in Tantra, everything goes. Like, do whatever you want. And that red line and that red magic type and that tantric philosophy really is the philosophy of like, there is no such thing as like a bad thing. Have you ever heard of Burning Man?
I have heard. Now they have a Burning Man festival.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That festival. So I've never been, but I've heard.
Okay.
I know a lot of
Me
people
neither.
who've been.
Me neither. Right.
Yes. But they have a tent for everything. Like when you go to Burning Man, there's literally sections, and you have to know like what you're down for and what you're into because there's a tent for everyone. Okay. Like
Also,
whatever.
Burning Man is not just a music festival; it's something else.
I mean, it is a music festival, but you know, it's yeah, they turned it kind of into it reminds me of like Woodstock, but like 10 times
That's what I'm
crazier.
saying. Right.
Yeah,
But we need to go to
exactly.
Burning Man.
Yes. Yeah. So when you get there, like you better know what you're into because there's something for everybody. And
Right.
so, you know, and their whole thing is like, do whatever you want. Like there's something for everyone. And I really truly believe that like God, source, creator, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I call it God because God used to trigger, like that word used to like trigger me so bad. And now like I use it to like
Mhm.
desensitize myself, you know, deconstruct.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always like, you know, God, there's nothing on this earth that God doesn't want here, or God doesn't allow here, I should say,
That's
that
right.
God doesn't allow. Does God want us to
That's
be
right.
upset and sad and all that? No. But there's an understanding that we are going to have to go through trials and challenges and problems. And my philosophy and what I guide people to in the School of Somatic Alchemy is I guide you back to the truth and the wisdom of your own body so that you can actually have a relationship with it so that you're not out here trying to say, well, this part of me is good and this part of me is bad. And you actually learn to start loving to solve problems. Because if life is
Yeah.
going to be problems anyway, might as well learn to love to solve them. But
Yes.
you
And
can't do
that's
that through your
being willing
mindset.
to put in the work. Yes. Because we
Yeah,
become a microwave society where we just want it fixed right away. And like you said, you've been on your journey for 10 years. I started this journey back in the end of December of 2010. So it takes time, to go through and lessons so that your soul can grow and so that you can be a light for the world. And so,
absolutely.
but it takes time and it takes patience. That's why patience is a virtue, because it's something that, this healing and self love is not developed overnight. You really have to go through some things and really stand firm and be consistent about you. You got to be consistent about yourself. The same way and the same energy that we put into other things that we love and like,
Yeah,
we have to be willing to put that same energy into ourselves. And
absolutely.
so, you
Absolutely.
know, from personally, every contact with you, um, it's such a it is I become I it's activation for me. I'm gonna just use that word, to where certain emotions, thoughts and feelings become triggered to where I can ponder on it, because I've learned that, the dark night of the soul is reflecting, and reflecting on things, and actually intentionally thinking about, not pushing the thought away, and
Yeah.
understanding that your thoughts are valid, your feelings are valid, and let's work through this in the mind and think it through, so that you can finally release that pain and trauma and move on with your life. And even I have said to myself, all of this darkness that I'm releasing, I fill it with light. I fill it with love. Like, I woke up from a dream about my mom. My mom was in my dreams when I woke up this morning, because I woke up earlier,
Mm,
fell back asleep, and woke up. She's in my dreams, and it's not, it's been some major betrayal. But then I realized it was like, and I just said before we came on the show, when I was paying homage to my spirit team on my altar and lighting incense and stuff, and like, whatever this dream was, I understand what it was. Y'all want me to kind of be like Joseph in the Bible, where his family sold him out. They threw him in a pit to die. But then at the end, when he became the king of Egypt, and it was a famine land, his family had to come see him. And they were humbled at that time, seeing that he had become king, a man that they tried to murder. And it's like the same kind of situation for myself. And he
yeah.
allowed love to prevail instead of hate or bitterness. And I'm like, is that what y'all? Because I kind of heard that before intuitively, like, you gonna have to still love them, because that's where we
Yeah.
are. We have ascended. We're in a new earth already, and this is the God vibration, that vibration of love, because God is love, and everybody's being called to heal back love, forgiveness. I don't know. I'm still though, like, I don't know how do you face your enemies. And I know we're kind of going off topic now. This is
I don't
like
think
the
so.
end
I think this is right on brand.
of time then. So, how do you, I guess it's a choice. Everything it's the free will that you're talking about. Like, everything is fair game. You can do whatever you want to do. It's consequences to the decisions that you make, but ultimately you can do what you want to do in this reality.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like, because consciousness is always moving forward, like, yeah, just because it took like you and I all this time, the fact that we're at a place where we can say, you since 2010, me since 2016, like, we've had this whole arc of experience and all of that. And it's like, we're at the point now as teachers where they, like, our students, we have to understand that, like, the people that learn from us, or the people that like come through our energy, like you said, it's an activation. I'm not giving you anything tangible. I'm not like handing you a product. I am attuning you to
Yeah.
a very specific frequency that it took me a decade to get to. It took me a
Yeah.
decade to get here. I'm still learning and processing
Yeah.
and re attuning every time, right? And so with consciousness moving forward, and with people learning so much faster, I mean, look at all the tools that we have. Look at everything that's out there on the internet. Like, a lot of the thing, everything that I know as far as like studies and religions and uh, magical process and all that, everything is out there on the internet. The problem
Right.
is, a lot of these things you need to be initiated by somebody who's already in the frequency, because just reading about it and just knowing it is not the same as understanding it. And that's where the whole mindset thing, and the whole, when I was looking at like The Secret, right, and everybody's talking about like, well, just read this book and you'll know all the secrets. And it's like, okay, cool. I know things, but how do I implement them? How do I embody them? How, in a body that I am numb to, that I cannot connect with, that I feel disconnected and dissociated from, how am I supposed to be in touch with this reality if all I'm doing, I can do and be anybody I want up here.
Yes.
I can be fucking Superwoman. I can be a freaking unicorn. I can be anything up here.
Yes.
But what is happening out here? if there's no connection there, then all I'm doing is being delusional. I'm like, and faith without work is delusion. So you have to be able to connect back with this physical vessel in order to be able to actually have those manifestations, the things that you can conjure up in your mind happen in your reality. And the one thing that really made me real upset about The Secret was they were like, your thoughts create your reality. No,
Mm-hmm.
no. If
It's
that were true,
true. Right. I be saying that too. And it's just not true.
thank God it's a lie. Thank God.
Right.
So bad.
Right.
That'd be terrible. And like, so it's not well, your thoughts. It's your
Hmm.
beliefs. It's who you are. It's who
Yes.
you are that creates your reality. That's why it's so important to be attuned into the frequency of somebody who is there or who has taken that. I took the long road for you so that you don't have to. I'm going to give you in the School of Somatic Alchemy. This is like one of the biggest things that we do in there is taking you from this like mindset and manifestation oriented self and initiating you into somebody who is actually connected with the physical vessel that manifests, that
Yeah.
actually like is here to
See,
experience reality. And that's a
that's it.
frequency shift, not a
Mhm.
mindset shift.
That's it. And when you said it earlier about you cannot manifest if you're disconnected from your body, because if you're disconnected from your body, you're not doing the work that it takes to actually manifest, because it's more than mental. You have to physically, the faith without works is dead. And so if you're not doing both, it's just not going to work. You could think about it all day and it's just not going to happen. So, you know, so how do we get back to, and this is the healing and the self-love journey, how do you begin to reconnect with your body? Because I'm sure it's so many different ways that you can. But what are your recommendations and your expertise, and how did you do it for yourself?
Yeah. So I started with breath work. And when I first started to get into somatics, breath work was the very first somatic process that I ever went through. And it was so beautiful because it showed me that it showed me just how disconnected I was from the body. The breath is the only bodily function that we not only have is totally happening unconsciously, but is also something that we can control. I can start and stop my breath at any time, but I don't have to think about my breath happening throughout the day. When I'm not thinking about it, it's working, right?
Mhm.
There is a bridge, very specific bridge that this type of somatic work creates between the unconscious, where 95% of your decisions are being made. If you are not connected to your unconscious or your subconscious, sub means below, conscious means mind. So, what is below the mind? The body. The body comes
Yeah.
first. So, when we're looking at the subconscious level, if you're disconnected from the 95% of the choices that you make unconsciously, you're going to come to your conscious and you're going to see yourself in a pattern. You're like, why do I keep choosing this? Why does this keep coming up? You're going to pick the same terrible relationships in a different font. You're going to quit jobs over and over again. You're not going to be able to sustain your finances. So, where are you at in the connection or lack of in your body? That is where all of those unconscious decisions are happening. So, when you create that bridge to the conscious mind, where 5% of your decisions are being made, you're actively like consciously choosing things. When you're looking at that, you're like, whoa, I only really consciously pick 5%. I can start and stop my breath just as easily. I want to be able to trust my subconscious decisions, but I can't do that unless there's a bridge, unless there's a connection between the two. I need my mind and my body to be on the same page. So if I'm up here in Deluluville thinking I'm a unicorn, right? I have
All
to
the
how can I
dragons that are
right or whatever, right? Like how do I get my body to be like, hmm, is it possible for me to be a unicorn? I mean, depends on your definition of a unicorn, right? So, like, really being able to define what it is that you are wanting to become, that's all body based, unconscious work, subconscious work.
And
So,
so
if
breathe.
you,
So the breath is the bridge. And
yes,
when you talk about the breath, when I studied the Hindu, it's called prana or chi energy. And so it's literally the breath of God, because the breath in our body is the breath of God. And tap breath in a meditative state where you're intentionally breathing a certain type of way, it will change your life. I mean, for me, it physically removed pain out of my body. So I
yes,
know, the breath of God is that fire that just burns away everything that does not serve us, from pain,
yes.
suffering, all of it. So can you go deeper into, the breath of God, the breath that we're talking about?
Yes, absolutely. There's actually one of my favorite breath practices to do is the square breath. And the square breath is 4 places in which you're meeting God. So when you're inhaling, you're taking God in. When you're pausing with all that air in your lungs, you are asking God to open you up. You're opening to God. When you exhale, you're surrendering to God. And when you are holding your breath with no air in your lungs, you are touching God at that point, because there's no air inside, and yet here you are still alive, right? So
Awesome.
when you are doing these breath repetitions and you're thinking of this mantra, or you're really connecting to what it is that is creating that bridge, you can sink deeper into the connection and trust that your body has to the universe, to the creation that is around you. And with breath, it's so easy because it's something that you can work with at all times. I do the square breath all the time when I'm feeling anxious or upset, or when I need to like come back to center, when my mind and my emotions have taken me off center. I'm like, the
Yes.
first thing that I need to do is come back to the breath, because the breath can bring me back to the present moment. What's true for me right now? Not what am I ruminating on that already happened that I can't change, and not what am I anxious about that's in the future that hasn't even happened yet and probably won't. Probably
Right.
won't. 99%
Right.
of the things that I fear are going to happen in the future literally don't happen. So,
Indeed.
you know, like it's
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 true.
so funny how we like work ourselves up about the
Yes.
past and the future. And it's like the breath brings us back to what's true right now. What's
Yes.
true for
The
you right now? What are you feeling right now?
present.
Where are you at right now? It's like where your
Yeah.
head at. It's really like your head be out here. Okay? Your head be out here. But your body, this
Yes.
is I always say this, my body is my home base.
Mm-hmm.
My home base. How far into the ether I go, whether that's plant medicine, meditation, psychedelic, whatever, no matter how high into the ether I go, and no matter how low I feel, no matter where my depressing and sad and angry emotions take me, my body is my home base. Can I come
And
back to what's true and present right now? And can I act accordingly? If I'm not in danger, how do I get myself out of that feeling of danger if my body's not actually in danger, right? That's what we learn in the School of Somatic Alchemy is to, and that's what the breath really does, is it puts you in a state of presence where you can actually see the truth of what's going on. If you're really in trouble, or you're really in a situation where you need to like use your survivor skills, thank God for our trauma responses. I'm
mm-hmm.
so grateful for them, because
Yeah.
when I need them, they're there immediately. But when I'm not actually in danger, when I'm just detecting it for some other reason, how do I get back to the present moment so I don't spiral out on emotions that are fleeting? My
That's
feelings
it.
are not my frequency. My
That's
feelings are not
it.
my.
Yes. And so what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that this breath work, which is the bridge, it helps us to regain control over our emotions. because when you have control over your emotions, you make the best decision for yourself, no matter what type of situation you're in. And even yesterday, you know, when we went before we went live, we was kind of amped up. This is our first time getting on this platform, and so you started the talk out with 3 breaths, and we did. We calmed right on down, and it
We were
just
able to.
yes. And so, you know, I bear witness because like this, the breath work is so important. And that's what I think with everything that's going on in the world, we need to regain control over our emotions because it's going to be okay. It just
Yeah.
looked like that. Like we have to understand that we was not happy in the way that the world was. And so now that it's falling, it's so much anxiety and grief, and people just want to check out because they can't handle it. But we didn't want it in the first place. So
Right.
once we regain control over our emotions and say, now I have control over my emotions, control over, I got this breath work that I'm tapping in with that has created this bridge to reconnect with my body instead of thinking and wishing that I wasn't here no more, that my life was different. Now I have this connection, I've reconnected, I'm willing to put in the work to make my life what I want it to be. Like life is not over. It's gonna get ugly, but it's gonna get better from here. So
It's only up from here. Once you hit rock bottom, it's only up. You can't go any lower.
that's
Like, and
real.
I think comedy is tragedy plus time. The farther away you are from the tragedies of your life, the funnier they become. I laugh about the shit that has happened to me. I'm literally, there's a, to give a crazy story. Um, when I was a 304, there was this one trick who, he goes, "Do you want to see my snake?" And I'm like, "Isn't that what I'm here for?" And I didn't know he was talking about like a real snake. And I was like, he's like, "No, no, no, my pet snake." I was like, "Ah, of course I want to see your pet snake. I love snakes. Yes." Go
Yes.
upstairs into the bathroom. This man has a 5 foot anaconda in his bathtub, bro. I'm
And
not even lying. The thing was bigger than me. I was like, this is not
wow.
what I was expecting out of this. Like, just and like in the moment, I'm like horrified, and I'm having to like figure out like I don't even know what to do, but I have to like remain cool because back then I was a master dissociator, and I had I had like a whole personality that I was when I was seeing dates, and so I'm like having to keep my composure in this
Yeah.
crazy situation of like this 5 foot anaconda. I'm like, is this man gonna like feed me to the snake? Like, what is happening right
Wow.
now? And it was actually insane. So like, and but back then, the reason I bring that up is because like back then I was like horrified by the situation, but now I'm sitting here like that was actually hilarious. Like I was
Yeah.
fine, everything worked out. Like he was annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Like he definitely was an annoying client, but that snake, it was a beautiful snake, and
Yeah.
I was horrified then. But like now I'm like, that's funny. That's
Yes.
funny.
Yes. And I love how you're so open, you know, about your journey and the different things that you did that you may not have been proud of, but now you take pride in it because it was a part of your journey and what it took for you to be who you are today. And so I just think that's so amazing. Um, so now how can the people tap in with you and learn about the different tools that you have to offer when it comes to this
Yes.
healing and self journey?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. So, of course, I have the School of Somatic Alchemy. That is a monthly membership. So, you would do a monthly tuition. It's $97. That has everything in it. My life's work is in there. Somatic practices that you can do when you need them. I also have the Flora Foundations course in there, and that is the ascension journey through all of the chakras so that you can connect back with your desire instead of manifesting from fear or manifesting from mind. You actually are manifesting from your biological desires, and you only can tap into those through your body. So I guide you through that process, and that full course is in there. And then we do today. We actually have our every first Monday, we do a somatic session. Today is going to be breath work. So if you'd like to try that out, it is so amazing. Love breath work. And
Mhm.
then 2 times a month, I have a Q&A call in there that or it's also for those that are going through the Flora Foundations course, you can get live guidance from me, because I know how hard it is to like have somebody just like throw a course at you, and then if you don't have access to the creator of the course, it's just kind of like, well, now I
Mhm.
have to figure it out or I have to make assumptions. I don't want you to have to do the guesswork. I want to give you the work at a level at which you're able to like do it at your own pace. And then if
Yes.
you when you have questions or when you need more guidance, I can do that. I also do one-on-one sessions, tarot readings, and human design readings, and all of those different things are added in to the school. And if you are a initiate in the school, you get discounts on all of those services. So truthfully, the best
Beautiful.
way to really connect with me is to get into the School of Somatic Alchemy, because like I said, all my life's work is in there.
Yes, and everybody, once you do tap in with Saya, she also has a Telegram channel, and a Telegram group. So you have 24-hour access to really ask questions, set up appointments, whatever you deem necessary for yourself. So I just really want to urge, because I know the majority of us have been traumatized, and so with trauma, we know that we detach from the body. We don't want to think about it. We detach from the mind. We detach. We just detach. You know, we're like, and so it's just time for us to come back to self, and begin to love ourselves again. Because, for me, before I got to a certain place of healing, I looked at the world as just so bad and so negative. I had just been through so much, and but I was meeting people that had a different perspective. Oh, the world is wonderful, everything. And I'm like, how can you? Do you see what's going on? Do you know what I've been through? And so until you reach that certain level of healing, you're gonna feel like the world ain't when it actually is. Everything was made good and very good. It's just about where are you mentally. And so if we can go back to that, say, before we get off, about, it's not a mind thing.
Yeah.
So if you can wrap that up, for it's not a mind thing. If you can tell us, what is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what's the deal? What's the deal? If
What?
it's not my mind, then what is it? Your mind and your body work together. You are both physical and spiritual. If you're only in the spiritual, you're it's delusion. That's all faith work, right? That's all, what can I conjure up in my mind and think and see my reality as. But the moment that you are connected to the body, this is where that experience actually happens. And a lot of people think that the mind comes first, but actually the body is the vessel that experiences the sensations and gathers the information in your reality first. So your body has a reaction, then it sends that signal to your brain. Your brain interprets that however it's programmed to do that, and then you're going to enact a behavior. What
Hmm.
if, instead of acting from those 5% negative conscious thoughts that probably have led you down not so great roads, what if you could trust that the signal from your body about your reality is the truth, and have your mind interpret that in a way that lets you know that you're actually safe and gives you the ability to actually see that experience as something that you can handle? Because if challenges are going to come, don't we want to be able to handle them instead of just letting
Hmm.
shit happen to us? I've always talked about bending over and taking it with no lube. Like, nobody likes that. We need
Yes.
lube. And the lube is being able to connect to this physical vessel.
Right.
Because once we're able to actually have that lube, we might actually like anal. We might.
We might, child.
We might. But you don't know because it's awful. It's awful without lubrication. It's freaking awful. So if we're going to figure out if we can enjoy something, we want to be able to create that bridge between the two. We want to be able to
Indeed.
make that bridge.
Indeed. And so did you mention the website, and we'll also put it on the in the comments, so, and also your email or whatever information that you would like to share so that we can find you, we can reach out to you.
Yes. So you can go to www.quintinasani.com and make sure you put the /SSA for the school. If you want to check out my other offers, it's literally just quintinasani.com for now. I am working on getting my my other link set up, but for now, maybe even I'll put sayalotus.com in here too, just in case for those who see this after I get everything switched over. So you can go to sayalotus.com or /SSA.
Indeed. That's what's up. And so do you have any, final words for the people, words of encouragement? I was speaking to someone last night, and we were talking about how with everything that's going on in the world, people are waiting to the last minute and they're losing everything. And talking about it disconnected from the body. And
Yeah.
they can't put in the work. It's like, if you're not plugged in, and whatever your tool runs by electricity and it's not plugged in, it's not going to come on. You're not going to be able to work with it. And so it's the same thing with people. They're losing their houses, they're losing their cars, instead of taking precautionary measures because they just don't have the energy.
Yeah.
And so,
you need.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is about, these are tools and skills. Okay. These are tools and skills that you have never been given. Because, like I said, The Secret came out. Everybody and their grandmother was like, manifestation, mindset. And now everybody has a great freaking mindset, but nobody actually knows how to implement any of that knowledge. It's all just words in your brain. Until you're able to actually embody the knowledge, then it turns into wisdom. You can't use it if you don't know how to use the tool. Like you said, the tool doesn't work if you're not plugged in. You have to plug in, and the plug is this physical vessel. The plug is your body. This is the energy source in which you experience everything. And the longer that you stay and remain disconnected from this, the harder that things are going to get. And there are so many things I believe that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, because you're never given something that you're not able to handle. You are able to handle it. If you're still alive, you can handle it. You may not like it, but you can handle it. You're still here. But wouldn't it be so lovely to be able to not have to learn the lesson the hard way? Wouldn't it be so nice to have tools and skills that you can actually use and plug in before the tragedy, before the crazy thing happens? That's what the School of Somatic Alchemy teaches you.
Indeed. And that's so beautiful. And, it's like the whole world is on this paper chase. They're chasing this, they're chasing that, when that's not the reality. The reality is to attract the different opportunities where you don't have to work and be a slave. Like, we wasn't created for that, but we were taught wrong intentionally to keep us in slavery perpetually. But we have to get out of that mindset and learn these principles that God put in the earth for us to be abundant. Like, and I was even thinking about the church. It's like the church keeps you in your head. Like, I'm not going to say just the church, but religion. It just keeps you in your head where you're always being spiritual and you're not coming back down to earth.
Exactly. I'm telling you, you're listening to some person on the pulpit, like telling you all this knowledge and giving you their interpretation of God's word. And it's like, why don't you experience God's word? Like, how can you make this applicable to you instead of just listening to somebody else's experience of it or their interpretation of it? And, I say this all the time, you can't sub to a sub. You can't sub to a sub. In BDSM and in those, I'm gonna I like using these terminologies because they're so good, because all energy is sexual energy, whether you like
Yes,
it
it
or
is.
not. So
What?
in this realm, like, you eventually you're gonna have to work with this energy, with this concept. So anyway, in BDSM, it's like, if a you can't sub to a sub. If two subs are coming together, all we're gonna get is like two people not doing anything. Money is submissive. Money is submissive. You need to learn how to dominate money if you want to be able to actually have the other things. But money is a byproduct of being able to get back down to the connection within yourself. Because if you can be in control of yourself, if you can become the dominant force in your life, everything else submits. You get
It's
those
true.
God powers that you want so bad, but you
Yeah.
can't have them if you're up here in Deluluville.
Yes.
Doesn't work.
And you're going to only attract what you give yourself. So if you feel like you're unworthy because now you're working 80 hours a week, that's not a grind. That's somebody who feels unworthy, you know. And so until you get reconnect with yourself and learn that I'm going to attract opportunities and situations according to how I treat myself. So if I put myself on the path, my mindset is different. I know that I deserve big opportunities for doing less, because that's what I'm attracting in my life right now. Like I'm doing what I like. I want to do what I love, and that's really how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be doing what we love and getting paid to do what we love, getting paid to exist, you know. And so that's where I'm at. And if y'all want to, get on the level and in the dimension that you're supposed to be on, there are principles in the earth that I can attest, and I know for a fact that Saya Lotus is tapped into, because her principles, or I'm not going to say her principles, these are the principles of God, but she is bringing this knowledge forth in a way that I never really thought about it that way. And so it's activating me because it's changing my perspective and I'm seeing it different. And it's like, I'm continuing to heal and ascend. And it's something that, healing and ascension, it's a lifelong journey. So it's not like now we made it. Now we still making it each and every day. And so that's what it's a journey. So I just want to urge you all to at least check out the website and just read over. And this is not a sales pitch. Like I'm just really passionate about healing and self-love, and I want to share what has helped me and who has helped me. And so that's why we're here today. And so I just appreciate everybody. I can keep going and going and going, and we could talk about this all day because I'm truly passionate about it. But I don't
Same.
want to take too much more of your time. And again, if you have any last words, say, I'm going to close my mouth and let you close us out, even if you have a prayer for us, because your prayers are powerful too.
Thank
And I
you.
just really enjoy and am grateful for your energy.
Thank you so much. This was amazing. I love these conversations. It's like literally it's my nerd out, like the thing that I will go on tangents on. So thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who tuned in live and replay. So grateful for you. And
Mhm.
really the last thing that I have to say is, do you believe in a friendly universe or a hostile one? You choose. Which one do you want to believe in? And with that, we'll close out. We'll close out with 3 breaths. We didn't
Okay,
start there,
that's what's
but
up.
we'll end there. Beautiful. So we're going to breathe in through the nose, accepting all of the energy into the heart space. We're going to exhale through the mouth. We'll do it a second time to really rein it in. Remember, and exhale. And 3 times, because 3 is the number of God. Beautiful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Thanks, Saya.
Thank you.